Hi, Far West. Shavua Tov. I want to introduce to you a really cool, exciting new project by Ragged RGB. Um, it is still unnamed, so if you have any ideas for a name, please shoot me a text like right away. But basically, we are going to be making videos for every Parsha for the entire school year. That's the goal. Very short, 2 to 5 minutes, just to get you guys engaged in a little bit of Torah learning every week and to give you an idea of what's going on in the Jewish calendar. At first, the videos will be made by me every week, but then ideally, you guys will end up being the teachers, and every week we'll have a different US Wire make something for all of our West to see. So I hope this goes well. Um, let's get started. So I know I'm posting a little bit late, but sorry, there was Chag and it was weird. But this week's Parsha, which we read yesterday on Shabbat, is Parshat Breishit. So we're beginning this project with the first Parsha in the entire Torah, which I think is sort of fitting. So let's talk about what happens in Breishit. There's a lot to cover. You can make like 2 movies about it. But basically what happens in Breishit. So first, God creates the world, which is pretty cool and exciting and important. You know how it goes. 6 days of creation, and then the seventh day, God rested, and so we get Shabbat. I'm a fan of Shabbat, so I like that a lot. And then God creates the first people. Well, that happens on 6th day, actually, but whatever. So we get the first people. We get Adam and Eve. And they're kind of chilling in the Garden of Eden, having a great time. And then God says, hey, enjoy this garden, just one rule. You know the fruit from that tree? Don't eat that. And then Adam and Eve are like, oops, and they eat it anyway, and then they get thrown out of the Garden of Eden, so that's pretty fun, and then they get a lot of punishments for that. Actually, humanity as a whole gets a bunch of punishments for that. One of them being that as a result of that sin, childbirth will be painful for every woman ever. So that's great. And then they have kids. They have Cain and they have Abel. And then one of their kids kills the other kid. So great family for humanity to come from. Cain kills Abel. And then they have kids, and they have kids, and they have kids, and there's a whole genealogy, and then the Parsha ends to be picked up next week with Noah and that whole shenanigan. It's going to be great next week. So wow, a lot to unpack there. But I wanted to talk about a question that I had when I was reading the Parsha, which is, why does the Torah start here? The Torah is a very particularist book, talking about the history of the Jewish people and ways to live a Jewish life, Jewish stories, Jewish values, Jewish codes, Jewish mitzvot, Jewish role models, Jewish leaders. And it doesn't begin with the first Jew, Abraham. It doesn't begin with the major story of Jews being slaves and us being taken out of Egypt. It doesn't begin with the first mitzvah. It begins with the creation of the world as a whole, which just seems so against the theme of the whole book. Why does this very particularist work begin with a very universalist story, the creation of the world in general? And Jews don't, the concept of monotheism doesn't even come in until Lech Lecha, which is like 12 chapters later. So what's going on? So Rashi, who was an 11th century French commentator, had the same question as I did. He wanted to know why Breishit didn't begin with the first mitzvah that we get after being taken out of Egypt, which is basically to create the first Jewish calendar, and tells you what the first month's going to be. It's like HaChodesh Hazeh Yelachem, something like that. I don't know. So he wants to know why. Why does the Torah begin here? His answer is basically that, so when other nations come to the Jews, saying that we had no right to conquer the land of Canaan, of Canaan, and take it from them, we can say, hold up, no, we didn't take it from you. It was never yours to begin with. God created the world, ergo the world belongs to God, and God chose to give the world to us, and to give this land to us. So you're wrong, we didn't take your land from you. So his answer, I guess, makes sense if you think about the time that Rashi lived in. 11th century was a time of the Crusades and these religious wars. The Jews were in a very precarious position. He was kind of on the defensive, so I get that. I get why he would want to have an answer that would be like, this land is ours, it's not yours, if he wants to say. So I get where he's coming from, but I want to offer a little bit of an alternative answer and sort of challenge Rashi on that, to see if we can get something a little bit deeper. So I think that even though we live in an amazing, amazing, tight knit Jewish community, which I feel so grateful for, but can be sometimes a little bit insular, I think that we have to sometimes look up from our community and remember that we live in a world full of people, right? This isn't the Jewish world, this is the everyone world. We all live in it together. And even in a time when we can all feel pretty divided by our differences and feel like we kind of have to stick with our people, God didn't create the Jews and then the Buddhists and the Hindus and then the Muslims. God created everyone. We all come from the exact same place. And maybe there isn't as much that divides us as we think. So while Judaism can have a hard time with, wanting to eventually have everyone be Jewish and wanting to stay away from other nations, I think that this story gives me hope that maybe one day we can learn how to be more tolerant of other people and kind of set aside our differences and learn, hey, we were all created together as one. I hope you enjoyed. Send me feedback. Send me a new name for the project, please. And Shavua Tov. And I'll see you next week with Parshat Noach. It's going to be lit.